I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'd like to talk about the world predictions for 2018 and how the world is going to be affected. And let me first start out with the highlights of all that I'm going to be talking about, and then I can go through the months of the year just to give you a sense and a feel of what to be expected for 2018. So to begin with, there is going to be the rise of a new political party, because this is the year I had mentioned will be about cults, where people are consumed and led by others that give a sense of connection and power. So there's going to be a cult-like following to a new political type party, and cults of all sorts are going to come forward and have more of a rise for difficulty, major difficult cults such as cults like ISIS or problems around the world. You're going to see people come forth and want to feel a sense of connectedness because so many people are feeling disconnected. This is the year of earthquakes. There are going to be major earthquakes all around the world, and particularly in places that never thought they would be affected by earthquakes. Terrorism is on the rise because this summer we have extreme astrological configurations that represent fire, war, hostility, and anger. So you're going to find more terrorisms on the rise. There's going to be even more extreme weather, floods, and tornadoes. This will be a seasonal period of extreme tornadoes that will strike probably in the United States. A big part of this year is the uncovering of many government agendas. Corruption will be exposed in a big way. And even corruptions from the distant past, such as there will be the uncovering of who killed Kennedy and what's really going on with aliens in terms of alien awareness and what's happening. And I mean, yes, from other worlds that have been influencing our world for a long time. The economy, as I said before, is going to be in great highs this year and lows. So there's going to be a lot of people that are going to become very rich very fast. Cryptocurrency is here to stay, but the government is going to be putting more and more regulations. Governments around the world limiting, because there's such an enormous explosion of people cashing in. So there's going to be more regulations, things that regulate this and put this thing a little bit where the governments can start making the money again and not the people. Because remember, cryptocurrency is a way that we exchange money through each other, alleviating so much of the expense dealing with banks and governments. And banks and governments don't like that. So there's going to be some changes with that, but there's going to be many opportunities to make some good money in the economy this year. Stocks, because they're going to be highs, but there will be lows. And the first 6 months is going to have incredible highs. The second 6 months, lows. But a lot of people, if you know how to ride the wave, will do extremely well this year. Brace yourself for an extremely cold winter in the northern hemisphere and extreme cold weather in the southern hemisphere when their seasons change as well. There is going to be health discoveries, particularly around the disease of cancer, and most of all, the uncovering of all the corruption of all the poisons and toxins that have been infiltrated into our environment and into our foods. We pretty much know this. but at least this year there will be some regulations that will start to move in the right direction to really start the healing of the world and our health problems. Discoveries in the area of the disease of cancer will be one of the high points this year. But there will be more disease that crops up throughout the world, new diseases that infiltrate and affect the world. So these are my major high points throughout the year. And let me go over some of the things that I think are going to be happening based on my study of cycles. So you see, the most important thing is where the eclipses are going to start occurring. And we have some major lunar eclipses that are total this year. The solar eclipses are not total, but this deals with more the emotional body and revelations and realizations, because this is what happens with lunar eclipses. Lunar eclipses happen with the full moon. Solar eclipses happen with the new moon. So Mars is going to go retrograde in the sign of Capricorn this summer. It's a big deal because the last time that Mars went retrograde in Capricorn was the year of 1971. And what happened in 1971? It was Watergate, Nixon. So there's going to be more and more trends towards impeachment. But will it all amount to anything? I doubt it. But there will be more and more trends towards having not only the United States, but impeachment throughout the world with government leaders. So what I see with this Mars retrograde is in 1971, there was a release of what was really going on in Vietnam. And what essentially became the realization is the government was lying to the people about what was happening during that time in Vietnam, completely lying about the progress and what we were fighting for. And when the people came to this realization, they never had the respect for the government that they ever had before. So it's a loss of faith in our government. This is going to be a major trend this year, which is going to be the involvement of an entirely different political reign and direction. People are going to begin to take charge. The people want control back. Another thing that's happening this year is very much similar. Mars, it was actually in 1981 that Mars was conjunct Ketu, but that year it was in Capricorn. And this is a big deal because the nodes, where they are conjunct Mars, is really, really important. What happened in 1981 that is relative to this year was that was the year of Ronald Reagan became president, and that same year he had an assassination attempt that almost killed him. It was far more serious than we were being told. And as well as that same year, the Pope had an assassination attempt, which means this is the year that we're going to see many assassination attempts. And where Rahu and Ketu are right now, Rahu is in the sign of Cancer, Ketu is in Capricorn. They will continue to be there till the spring of 2019, till about March of 2019. And what this means, the last time they were there, 18.5 years ago, was 1999-2000. That was the year of the highest highs in the stock market, and the dot-com stocks exploded and the bubble burst. This will be relative to what's happening for us over the next year and a half as well. So watch it. The stocks are going to go high. We're going to have a great ride. But what goes up must come down. And you've got to really play carefully. Ride the wave. This is all about to explode, but this is the year it's at its high. So going back to why I said earthquakes will be happening, I went back to the times that Rahu was in Cancer and Ketu were in Capricorn. There were more earthquakes during this time than normal. As a matter of fact, in 1906, Rahu was in Cancer, Ketu was in Capricorn. This was one of the biggest earthquakes that hit California in San Francisco that we have on record. Be careful, this is a year of earthquakes. Now, another thing is there are major highlights that are going to be happening this year. Particularly, watch women will rise and come into more powerful positions than ever before. Going back in time, it was the year of 1981 to 82 that we had Mars was in Capricorn conjunct Rahu, very similar to what's happening this year. And what we had during that time was the first woman was elected to the Supreme Court, and you're going to find women will come into positions of power this year more than ever before. There are so many government cover-ups that are coming about concerning the economy. During the year of 2008, when we had the financial crisis and a crash in the stock market, there were trillions of dollars that disappeared and were never accounted for. Now is the time that people are going to have to account. Things are going to be uncovered. Where did money go? We're going to find answers this year. Another thing I do see is many more terrorist attacks and events, particularly in the summer months. And this is relative to the last time Saturn was in the sign of Sagittarius. Saturn takes 30 years to go through the zodiac. And the last time was 1988-89 that it was in the sign of Sagittarius, where there was more righteous, religious fundamentalism that came about. And this resulted in one of the worst airplane terrorist attacks in Lockerbie, Scotland, 1988. I think that this is a time that the airlines need to really crack down, because I feel like there's going to be more terrorism on airplanes. Shifts in consciousness, people's awareness is growing. People are growing to a point where there's more self-help books of a higher nature, where people's minds are open to how we can transform and change the world through the mind. Mind control for the positive, not the negative. So Cancer is the sign of family, and as I said, people are going to be drawn to more cults that give them a sense of feeling connected in family in a world of alienation and separation. But because of that, we need more and more protection. And that's what Rahu in Cancer is all about, security and protection, that the world is becoming more violent, so the need for protection and security will be at a high point. So health discoveries about the foods, the diet, what makes us sick, and what makes us healthy will be a trend that really takes over, and a higher consciousness with the foods we eat and what is good for us. Jupiter is going to be trining Neptune throughout this year. This represents beautiful music. This will be a year that some of the most profound songs that come from the heartfelt energy of emotion, because during these times we need this. But songs that give us a sense of purpose and meaning, and books and plays and movies come out that really exemplify what this world is about, our feelings and emotions, how to heal our lives through healing our emotions. That's a biggie. So Saturn is coming together with Pluto. Every time Saturn and Pluto are in a hard aspect with one another, conjunct, opposed, square, there is a breakdown of things in the government. And that's what's necessary. The government and the controls that they put on the masses will be discovered and broken. So people are trying to take back their power, and they will. This is happening through the cryptocurrency. No longer are the banks and the governments controlling our money, because now we can exchange globally in seconds with the world. Exchange our money. And the trends will never, ever be the same because of this trend where we're going financially. But the terror is still on the rise. As Mars will come into the sign of Capricorn, breaking down governments, societies, the world is in a crisis. And these changes are necessary and will promote the good in the coming years. So Venus will go retrograde in Libra towards the end of the year, around October, November, and this will create a healing from all the crises and upsets that this year is to bring. So I want to go over some of the things month by month, and even looking at some of the countries to better understand what's going to be happening for this year. As I predicted, I said that 2017 was the year of the hurricanes. And as Saturn, Uranus, and Rahu were all Gandanta, last degrees of water, first degrees of fire. Gandanta means drowning, and that's what we experienced. And that's what Gandanta means, out of control. There's going to be more things out of control, but concerning government affairs this year, there's going to be a breakdown, a change, a necessary transformation. So looking at the month of January, what I'm getting as, this is the month that you'll start to see women come into power. This is the month that you're going to see the major shifts, even in the economy. Watch around January 16th. This is a big turning point, and this could be the time when things start to really shake up. You'll see earthquakes, you'll see earth changes, you'll see volcanic eruptions and fires. This is the start of what's to come. This is a huge year of change. So moving on and looking at March through April, Mars will conjoin Saturn. This will bring up deep-seated anger about how people feel like they've been controlled by the governments. People are breaking away. And this could be the start of essentially the people starting to fight back from their nations. There's a different way of government emerging. So major events and attacks dealing with anger. This is relative to March and April, based on the fact that Mars will come into Sagittarius and conjoin Saturn and Pluto. So there will be righteousness, there will be condemnation as to the world and the political sides people are on. They're going to clash. Another thing is attacks on the government could be attacks on the leaders, or could be assassination attempts brewing during these months. Mental disease is on the rise because drugs, illegal and legal, are affecting consciousness and people are losing control. And who knows if the drug companies aren't doing this intentionally, but it's all about money. There is a yod forming during this time where Rahu is the trigger because it is conjunct Neptune, Pluto, Saturn, and Mars. And as Mars triggers Pluto, major violence can break out this month. These 2 months. Mercury will be retrograde March 23rd through April 25th. And it will be in Pisces. And Pisces is, Mercury is debilitated. So things are a bit out of control. Emotionally, people are out of their minds. They're not rational. Watch how this works. Jupiter will turn retrograde by March 9th. At 29 degrees of Libra, the very last degree of Libra. And if you have any planets, that degree, you're lucky. That will be a major time of advancement and opportunity. But at this time, trends are changing. And as the planets start to all reverse, so do people's minds and so do people's goals. So Saturn will turn retrograde April 17th. So essentially we're going to have Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury all retrograde this month, which means major reversals in the economy and in people's lives. Remember when the stock market goes down? That's a good time to invest. It's on sale, so be aware of these trends. They're not going to stay down. Not till 2019. May and June, more violence. Things are getting hotter. Things are getting crazier. Mars will turn retrograde. And Mars will turn retrograde the 26th of June. And Mars will actually stay in Capricorn the end of May through November. Through the early part of November. So for 6 months, Mars will be in the same sign. It will not be retrograde that whole entire time, but it will be in Capricorn. The end of May to the beginning of November for 6 months. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, giving it a tremendous, tremendous power. But when it turns retrograde, it acts like a debilitated planet and things become out of control, completely out of control. Because while Mars is retrograde in Capricorn, it will be out of bounds, meaning it's declination, it's out of bounds. This means it's out of control. It will be beyond 25 degrees in declination. And this breeds war, anger, hostility throughout the summer months. Mars will square Uranus around May 16th, which is definitely violent. Neptune will turn retrograde. So by the time we're in May and June, we will have Saturn Jupiter, Mars, Neptune, and Pluto all retrograde. Nothing is going forward. Everything is moving backwards. But it is a time to review, analyze, to rethink things. What can we do to better serve the planet and help one another? This will give us the time to reflect, because if we don't pull back, you're going to be terribly, terribly frustrated, because things will not move forward like you expect and plan. So around May 13th through the 14th, Mars will cross the opposition point to the previous solar eclipse degree that happened on August 21st, 4 degrees of Leo. This can be a trigger point of something violent. So recognize that May is where it really, really starts to heat up. Jupiter still is in trine to Neptune, so this is a great aspect of spirituality and truth and creativity. So use this time to pull and go within and recreate your own individual world by working on your spiritual truths. July 27th, there will be a lunar eclipse where the moon, the full moon, is aligned with Mars and K2, all within a degree. This is radical. This will indicate emotional violence, emotional uprisings, terrorism around the world. People have had enough of control and manipulation, and they are fighting back. This is what it's all about. So I even get that there's something about waves of electricity that are affecting our world. And that could even be so much radiation through the internet. This is affecting people's emotional bodies and changing how they feel. The world is in a chaotic place. Materialism and greed is at a high point. So this involves that these planets, Mars, K2, and the full moon in the sign of Capricorn, and a breakdown of governments and assassination attempts, and everything is coming to the surface now. Corruption, greed. But the truth about it all is being revealed. And so in order to heal something, we have to know what it is that we're dealing with. This is where the truth comes out. It will be very, very positive for the long haul. But you know, when you find out things that you didn't want to know about, but they're the truth, this changes everything, because then you know what you need to work on. The truth sets us free. So as I said, there's a rise of a new government forming out of this. There's attacks on the government and leaders through this. Volcanic eruptions, earthquakes. The earth is shaking and it will feel like it's on fire. Fire because, as I said, the summer months are going to have extreme drought, which means there's going to be more and more fire. Interesting that 9 months is the gestation period for humans, and therefore Venus retrograde is indicative of when it goes retrograde. There's a 9-month period, the gestation period, of a healing and for world peace. What the explosive events that are transpiring throughout the summer months will promote a sense of the need for peace, and Venus retrograde in the most peaceful, creative, harmonious, peace-seeking sign of all, Libra, is what this is all about. So looking at November and December, by December 6th, all the planets will be direct again. All of the planets, where they were all at one point just about retrograde, causing a reversal of everything going on in the world, including finances and the stock market. Many trends will come to peace now. And the revelations about the lies and deceit of the government worldwide and corruption will really come to a point where we can have an understanding to heal. Many of the revelations about the corruption of the past government, of assassinations, of our president, President Kennedy, who was involved in this. Yes, the government. So there's so many things this year is going to bring out. Revelations, transformations, healings, the truth, which heals and brings us on the path to higher consciousness and awareness for a much, much better world. This is what needs to happen because the truth has to finally come out. So how do I see beyond 2018? There will be a solar eclipse that will change everything by the end of 2019. This is December 26th. This is a new era. This is a transformational change around the world, particularly in the United States. But the economy has to go through this transitional period to bring us to a more balanced economy instead of this extremes of highs and lows. The cleansing will begin to really take place in 2019 and 2020. Very, very similar to the years of 2000 to 2001. As we all know what happened in 2001. But we do have control in our own lives. Many things have to change. And through awareness, we will bring this change. Just to give an idea of certain countries that will be the most dominant in the course of action, a change. China and Russia will be huge in terms of difficulties revolving around their countries, their governments. There's major changes that will happen there, even more so than the United States in this year. And also, the country that I see is going to be experiencing one of the biggest transitional changes of all is India. India's chart has so many planets in Cancer, where Rahu will be and Mars opposed it. There's going to be strikes, there's going to be explosions, there's going to be revelations. Because this is a country that has been lagged behind for so long and it's ready to take off. But it won't take off easily. There's corruption and things holding it back. But explosive events will change this country like never, ever, ever before. North Korea, are they a threat? Yes. Yes, they're a threat. But their threats, their bark is worse than their bite. They do not have the power they pretend to have. They are in trouble. And yes, things are about to change. Japan, of course, many earthquakes and changes there, but it's going to be okay. And South Africa. South Africa has been under duress and stress. Financially, things have been kept down and delayed. There's going to be more delay this year, but eventually towards the end of the year, there will be a big shift for them. on a positive note, but through January through August, there's a lot of setbacks and problems there. Going towards Brazil has lots of corruption to be uncovered in their governments as well. But the countries that I think we're going to have to really look out at that are going to cause the most problems globally in the world this year for themselves and for others are Russia and China. Many changes will occur with these countries. Advances, but setbacks because of the corruption. And the United States, there are so many secrets that are about to be revealed in accordance to government rules, policies, but most of all, past findings of corruption with the economy. People will lose respect and faith. And this is where the transformation of a new government, but before, this will be almost like a cult-like overthrowing. And it's not the right one yet, because it's too extreme, and extremes can cause major falls. So watch how things clash, explode, but settle. That's what I'm looking at for the year of 2018. So this can be a very, very exciting year for each of us individually, because this is an awakening of finding the truth. And once we find that truth, we are set free and our world is different and transformed for the better. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information or a chart reading for yourself, you can always go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. And if you would like to learn Vedic astrology, I have a university, which is University of Vedic Astrology.com. And I have a monthly magazine with an amazing array of astrologers who write articles about the world, economy, and learning. And my magazine is astrologicmagazine.com. Thank you and happy 2018.